I move that the City Council deny the intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development relating to the Salem River Crossing project.
Second.
Second by,
He can do it.
okay, Hoy. Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I've brought up some of my points, but I will reiterate a few of them. This IGA, I think, as Dan alluded to, already does things that we do as a city and should be doing as a city. And I don't necessarily think we need an agreement to do the right thing here. And that's the things, all the points it has in this, and I'm not going to read them all off, but it's things like residential density, mixed-use development, looking out for bike and pedestrian facilities, all of that, those types of things. So I think the IGA is not necessary. To the larger project of the Salem River Crossing, briefly, I have been opposed to this project for a long, long time for a lot of reasons. The first actually is because I really feel the process has been flawed. And I was first kind of aware of that with the Salem River Crossing Task Force. And our neighborhood representative on that, who happens to be my husband, Eric Bradfield, and he would come home at night and tell me all sorts of things. And it was really discouraging to hear that. And especially at the end of this, when less than a majority of the people on the task force voted for the bridge. I mean, it was 10 out of 22 votes actually voted for a bridge. All of the neighborhood associations affected by this bridge voted no for it. That is West Salem, Highland, Grant, Can-Do voted against this bridge. I've had conversations with task members who they were very disappointed in the process. So I think, and that was back in what, 2010, 11, 12. So I think that is one of the reasons I've been opposed to this project. The second reason is because there is no viable funding for this bridge right now, and I think it's really a disservice too when we ask our citizens to fund something that we can't explain how they'll do it. I think if you, for example, take the police facility, we're telling people this is how you would fund the police facility. You would fund it through a bond, and this is how much it would cost you. Plug in your address in this map, and you can see exactly how much you'll be paying. With this bridge, we're basically saying, yeah, we'll figure out a way to fund it, but we can't really tell you how we're going to do it. And I just don't think that's a realistic thing to, and I think it's kind of a burden to put on people too. The third thing, and I'm gonna let other people talk about this, this bridge really impacts the quality of life for several neighborhoods. The draft EIS, it says directly that this bridge will have a negative and cumulative impact on some of the predominantly lower income, minority, and elderly residents in our city. And I think it's unconscionable for us to put the bridge here. I think it's an environmental justice issue, and the draft EIS actually speaks to that. So for all of these reasons, I just can't support this agreement.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Andersen?
Thank you. When this originally came up for a vote with the UGB and the Transportation System Plan in December, I raised a number of points then, and I'm not going to repeat those points. Some of them were raised by Councilor Kaser. And I do have some additional points that I want to raise, and as we do with public testimony, I'm not going to make some points that have already been made here. So in the first case, this is just another step toward a project that is economically, environmentally, and common sense unnecessary and unbuildable. It advances a mistake. I ran against this bridge, and I have consistently opposed it, and I intend to keep faith with this opposition and the people who voted me in. Second, this seems sort of to me like a reverse bait and switch. The standard bait and switch is you say, here's a low price, and you come into the store, oh, we don't have any of those, but why don't you buy something that costs more? Well, we're sort of doing the opposite here. Here's this big bridge, and now we're going to build a smaller bridge. If a smaller bridge is what was planned, then why waste time, money, and energy with planning for a freeway bridge and in the environmental impact statement. If this is now proposed as a smaller project, we may need to start the planning process all over again. This was a regional project with other governmental agencies, all of whom wanted a regional bridge, and I would include Dallas with that, yet they are not involved and not consulted about the MOU/IGA. Do you really think they want a two-lane bridge? In fact, that was what was originally planned at some point as what was originally called the Salem Alternative. We had a big presentation on that, and then I went to SCATS, which is the regional planning, and all of a sudden the two-lane Salem Alternative turned into a freeway. One of the original rejected alternatives was improving the current bridges. This was rejected in favor of a freeway because 2 additional lanes were not enough. If that was the case, as posited by the 4-lane proposal, why is the 2-lane bridge now sufficient when it wasn't before? Tolling is an adopted plan in the adopted funding strategy memo, along with gas tax, property tax, license fees. There's nothing about any regional contributions here, meaning the regions, the county and the other cities. So the other, I can't remember if I said this, but it's gas tax, property tax, license fees, and tolling. Those are the 4 things that are recommended. And of that, $430 million cost of the bridge, 175 of that, 175 million was tolling. Gas tax was 85 million. Vehicle fees were 85 million. Property tax was 30 million. So, you know, tolling is an integral part of this. And yes, it's true, may be true that the other bridges cannot be tolled, but you know, they're a mile at most from this bridge, and we live in a society where people drive all the way across town to save 2 cents on a gallon of gas. So I don't think anybody's going to be saying, well, I'll go north for 10 minutes, cross a bridge, and then go south for 10 minutes and pay $1.50 for the privilege of doing that. That's not going to happen. So the bridge, it's going to be less feasible and less realistic to have any plan for the bridge. So I'm going to support the motion and oppose the IGA.
No.